fellow travelers, welcome on in. This is the RPG Cave level 156. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I am joined by the dabbing level 199 elf battle alchemist, Dr. Garret. How's it going, Garret?
I'm doing good, dude. I hope the viewers and the listeners, I hope the listeners come in and watch the video sometimes, because I just do crazy stuff. When Ryan goes through his rigmarole, he's closing the show. People have a good time. You know, it's like I'm going wild. I'm going crazy over here. So
you're going buck wild over there. You can't stop yourself. Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. So there you go. I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm already seeing confusion in the chat because Matt chimes in and says there was a TGS this week. I'm so out of it.
Oh, Nagachaka, you're exploding my brain. Of course there was a TGS this week. Come on now.
We're going to literally tell you all about it. This show is going to be 45 minutes of just TGS talk.
We're going to explode your brain of Japanese amazingness. Okay? That's what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Blandest of explosions.
There's a lot of cats in this TGS. I feel like there was a theme around cats in general.
There's always a theme around cats.
Yeah, of course.
People in Japan like cats. I don't know if you knew this, Garret. You got those cat cafes you go to. You hang out with cats. It's a very Japanese thing to do.
Right, there are the cat cafes. Yeah,
I've been to one.
Is it good?
It was fun. We had fun. Because one of the days we were in Osaka, we went to a cat cafe there.
Did they serve coffee or anything like that, or
it was a cafe, so you could get any number of cafe type beverages like coffee or tea or other type of cafe beverages.
Okay.
While hanging out with cats.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But anyways, this is the RPG Cave where we don't just talk about cat cafes. We also talk about role-playing games. So we should probably clear the dungeons. We can get to this as quickly as possible. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of amazing ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right meow over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching on Twitch for the month of September over at twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live, like Sean Capri is, by the way, who chimes in saying cave over on the old Twitch there. Of course, make sure to hit that follow button or subscribe, depending on if you're on YouTube or Twitch. And then let us know in the comments below what you thought about TGS or the State of Play announcements that we're about to talk about on the show, because there's some exciting stuff in the world of role-playing games, folks. And I would love to hear from the people, the NPCs, the non-podcast characters. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. Also, leaving us a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. As I mentioned, this current month is the month of September, not September. September, where subs are half off over on Twitch. And of course, all of our subs for the month are actually going towards our Extra Life efforts in Rome, New York this November. So literally a month and a half away from Extra Life, Garret. I'm so excited. We have plans in the works, exciting plans, and they're all thanks to y'all. So shout out to y'all, by the way, because we have gift subs. We want to give a shout out to all of our gift subbers who gifted over 5+ subs on Twitch for the month of September. Starting us off with the top of the leaderboard, Tim Paullin with 15. I don't think Tim Paulin's going to get knocked off at this point, Garret. I think the podium spot is secured for Tim Paullin.
That's quite a bit of subs.
Yeah, Jinsu 3000 with 10, BobLoblaw with 10, Tony Baker with 5, Yon32 with 5, Rizzle2929 with 5, Mitchell Power with 5, Bowser with 5, and of course, the Pantsman Sean Capri with 5 as well. So, nice. Shout out to all of our amazing friends over on Twitch who have supported us. By the way, Garret, I don't know if you knew this, but I think we crossed 130 subs on Twitch this month, which is crazy. This is the most we've ever had on the channel.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty hefty sum of subs there.
Shout out to everyone who supported us over on Twitch this month. We really, really appreciate y'all. And also, speaking of supporting us, huge shout out to everyone who supports us over on Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming as well, including Sean Hennigan, who came back to the exclusive tier. So shout out to Sean Hennigan, our newest patron over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Of course, we've got Amanda's Pants episode coming up next. And we've got a new episode of Campfire up with Fulia this week. So
cool.
Make sure to go over there to Patreon, check it out. And if you're not on Patreon already, you can sign up for the free trial. 7-day free trial is always up on the Patreon if you're interested in checking that out. But Garret,
Mm-hmm.
we got 3 things, or I should say you got 3 things for me. So tell me those 3 things.
I got a bonus thing. We got a 4th thing. Just a quick shout out. We're on time. We're at the top of the hour starting the show. That probably the first time and the last time it'll ever happen.
I was going to say, it might be literally the only time this has ever happened with this show.
Yeah, pretty sure. So there you go. That's bonus number 1
But
thing.
to be fair, just so people don't call us out in the comments for this, we intentionally always set the show start time to 11:05 on purpose because we know we're going to be that 5 minutes late. So we just always set it to 11:05. So, we're always technically on time, the time we set it for.
We think ahead about this.
Yes.
It's like we know we're going to be a little bit later than the top of the hour. So
yeah,
there we go.
Exactly.
My official number 1 thing, and I'm sure everyone can sympathize. Adulting sucks, Ryan. Yeah. There's just too many things adulting wise. Investments, taxation, whatever is on your head. It's too complex, too complicated. Why does adulting have to be so complicated? And why do we have to worry about it? We should just play games and not worry about this stuff. Right?
That would be too easy, Garrett.
That'd be too easy. Okay.
Life can't have it be too easy for you, Like, yeah, because you're right. Adulting does suck because it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I have all this disposable income that I can now put towards games and play all the games I would want to play, but I don't have time to play any of them.
0 time. Absolutely 0 time. So anyways, just wanted to shout out adulting sucks. Second one, I put on the dog gate. We are training our dog to be a killing machine. Now I have a story behind this. We got a toy for her. It's this, our dog's a dachshund, a sausage. Our friend got this toy that's like a miniature fluffy version of a sausage, and she just absolutely goes crazy for it. So whenever we throw this toy around, she just wants to destroy this little dog toy. And so, yeah, there we go. We're training our little dachshund to be a killing machine.
Of course. Of course we do that.
It's kind of crazy. And then the third thing is I'm almost at my another 1,000 Microsoft reward points for Game Pass. I don't know. I don't want to do this every month because I feel like I'm playing to go through this system, which is not how I want to play. I want to play because I want to play the game or I want to finish the game. But I'm at that mark this month, which is good. So I'm like 2 more daily quests and I get my 1,000 Microsoft reward points. So
nice. And you're just gonna do this. You're gonna just spend all that cash on
Game Pass. Yeah, basically get the 3-month Game Pass subscription reward free. Awesome deal. So there you go.
That is one of the benefits to playing on Xbox because PlayStation has their rewards program, the PlayStation Stars system, but you don't accumulate points very often on stuff you're playing, and even if you do, it's like 50, and it's not nearly as much as on Xbox.
You get a lot of reward points with buying stuff, right?
Yeah, like that's where it really pays dividends if you're buying a lot of stuff on the PlayStation Store.
That's what I hear. So, anyways, those are my 4 things, I guess.
Garrett, we're on time, and Garrett's already cheating. The first thing in the morning, the first thing we do.
I do want to update Final Fantasy VII update. I'm still playing it. I just been, really distracted with something else we'll talk about later. But basically, I'm at the point, I just got past Red 8's originals. Okay. And then I'm at the next place. I don't want to spoil that place because it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
The next place is, I'm just like, wait a second. What's happening? I'm at that point. Okay. I'm just like, okay, this is weird. This is unsettling. So,
I'm nodding because I know exactly where you are, Garrett. And okay. I understand. I understand the unsettlingness, especially with like certain things that happen earlier in the game. Like
I go into the next place. It's just you go into this town. I'm like, no, this is not how this is supposed to work. Okay, sounds good. All right. Let's see where it goes.
Exactly. Of course, Matt's just saying no spoilers, please. But like,
no spoilers.
Matt's already played 7 Rebirth. He already knows where Garrett is. So
Oh, it's in Rebirth as well? Okay.
it's in Rebirth as well. Yeah, I mean, because they do basically the same story, right?
Okay.
They just add, like in Rebirth, they take the same story from Final Fantasy VII, but like add some stuff to it, or just add some like context to certain story beats. It's not like remake, where remake really tried to like really like completely redo that whole first section of the game to be this full like 20-hour, 30-hour experience instead of the 5 hours you basically spend there.
I see.
So yeah, it's much like Rebirth is much closer to the story.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to play it later on not on my PS5 Pro. So,
I was going to say, by the time you get a chance to play it, Garrett, it might eventually be on Xbox, and you can just play it there, or PC.
Maybe. I don't know. I have my doubts. Final Fantasy VII coming to Xbox. Maybe
I
16.
feel like when the trilogy is over, it'll come to Xbox when the trilogy's over, like as one package. Like it'll be like the Final Fantasy VII remake collection kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be like probably 5-6 years down the road on the Xbox Series X2.
Xbox Series 2X.
Series 2X with 2 multiplier.
Xbox Series 360.
720.
Yeah. Oh, we need the 720. We never got the Xbox 720.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. Good God. Yeah. Anyways, Garrett, I'm glad you're enjoying Final Fantasy VII more, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say about the other game we were talking about, because we got to read from the sacred texts. Because there was a state of play this week, Garrett, and Tokyo Game Show, and we decided that it would be a fun idea to go through and talk about all the announcements that we got this week. Take a little RPG news break, as the kids might say, with like fancy graphics and stuff, to go through the list of announcements and talk about what we're excited about. Because I think there was a lot of really interesting announcements that happened, and we're going to talk about them. So
Cool.
we're going to start with the 3 announcements I pulled from the state of play that are RPG announcements. First off, Fantasia Neo Dimension finally has a release date. It's out December 5th.
Can't believe it.
Just in time for Christmas, Garrett. I'm excited to finally get a chance to play this one, because I didn't play it on Apple Arcade, and it looks cool. And the PS5 version that they showed off at the state of play looks really pretty. So I'm actually excited about this one. Whereas I'm excited. I'm guessing you're excited too.
I'm very excited for this game. It's coming to Xbox and PlayStation, and I think also Switch as well, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming to literally everything, because, like I said, it was on Apple Arcade before, so it could run on almost everything.
Yeah, so beginning in December, that's a good date, I think, for this type of game. Kind of outside of the swarm of release dates in November, and it's also a lower price. It's $50 USD, so your local equivalent. It's cheaper than a $70 game, and it's I'm very curious how this is gonna go, like reception wise and sales wise. Hopefully they'll just continue this type of development cycle, so they could just keep on going.
Yeah,
So-
like hopefully Mistwalker actually comes back in a meaningful way with this, because like this is kind of their first release in a very long time, and like I said, it's been stuck on Apple Arcade for the longest time. So I think that you're right, Garrett. I hope that this is like us onboarding to more things from Mistwalker down the road. Maybe some more games. I know people want like a Lost Odyssey 2, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I almost want to see like either of them continue with the Fantasia idea, or like maybe do like a new IP after this. Like, I think that would be pretty cool.
Now, Neo Fantasian is is it just a turn-based RPG? Like I kind of went through the gameplay. It just kind of just feels like that, right?
Yeah, it's a turn-based role-playing game. It plays very similarly, because almost all of Mistwalker's games have all been turn-based.
Cool.
So, this plays very similarly to something like, the closest comparison I would say is something like Bravely Default, I think.
Cool. Sounds good. I can't wait.
Yeah, same. I can't wait to play it. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds, Garrett, after being at literally every other showcase, finally has a release date, February 28th. Because
That's soon.
we need all the games to release in February, Garrett. Because we got Avowed in February. We got Assassin's Creed Shadows, which moved to February. We got Monster Hunter Wilds in February. February is filling up fast, Garrett.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know why they all decided, okay, we're gonna hone in on February as the
Right.
target. I feel bad for Assassin's Creed Shadows because I don't know what just happened with them, but they just decided to skip out on the holiday season. I don't know. Why do you think they did that? Like, I'm trying to figure out, there's like multiple factors involved, or is it mainly one factor?
I mean, they just said that the game needs more polish, and with an open world game like that, I believe them when they say that. I actually think the biggest motivation actually probably was what happened with Star Wars Outlaws, where
Okay.
Star Wars Outlaws, if you remember, was like buggy as hell at launch, and they kind of just patched it later. But like people paid for early access and were really upset about that because they played the early access, and if they were playing on PlayStation, they had to delete their save and start over after playing for like 12 hours. So I think like that mess at launch combined with maybe some internal metrics saying maybe we need a couple more months to polish this. I think like those are like the reasons for this delay.
Okay.
I mean, they said it was because of polish, and I honestly believe them when they say that, because they actually had most of November to themselves as far as big releases, because there weren't November doesn't have a ton of big releases this year. Most of them are actually coming out next month in October. But so they would have had it would have been a better opportunity to release the game in November than February. So I feel like they wouldn't have delayed it unless there was like a really good reason to do so.
Yeah, okay. I kind of agree with that. I think I just, from the cadence of previous Assassin's Creed games, at least the last 2 or 3, I would expect this one to be pretty good, I guess. Good to great. But yeah, if they think they just need more polish and going through in a vast open world, then more power to them to delay the game. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
But what's interesting as well, Garrett, is my favorite thing in the world, and then Kevin Ainsworth, of course, had to just continually point this out, was that Avowed delayed itself out of this year's release because they were going to release this November. Because everyone needed to catch up on their backlogs because there were too many games coming out in November, and they delayed themselves into an even worse position.
It totally right. A way worse position right now. 3 or 4 games circling around Avowed.
No, there's actually even more than that. I just don't remember them off the top of my head. That's what I mean. Like, there's even more than what we've talked about here. Like, those are just like the big RPGs coming out in February. There are other big games coming out in February too.
Yeah, bigger RPGs circling around Avowed, but also I think that'll be I think Avowed, I'll play that one day one compared to the rest of them. But okay, back to Monster Hunter Wilds. Why are you releasing in February? Oh my gosh.
Literally the last day of February too, February 28th.
Okay. Oh, that's a bit better, I guess. And stretch it to the end. I've looked at this game and I come back to it saying that is a Monster Hunter game.
Yep.
So if you like Monster Hunter, you'll like this game. If you do not like Monster Hunter, you do not like this game.
I was gonna say that's not me. I put this on the list because I knew, Garrett, that you like Monster Hunter, so maybe you'd be interested. Whereas I'm just not into Monster Hunter, but that has never really been my thing. Like, I like Monster Hunter stories because they're turn-based role-playing games, but the mainline Monster Hunter series I'm just not really into.
I'm an amateur when it comes to Monster Hunter. There is some very deep fandom and people that go really into this game, hundreds of hours. So I'm not that type of gamer or whatever, but I'm excited to see it and see how different-ish it is compared to the previous ones. So, yeah. Cool.
And then last up, Garrett, the announcement that I actually predicted earlier this year for a different showcase because it's part of our E3 predictions is Lunar Remastered Collection is real. It's coming out spring 2024. Garrett's so glad I made him go play this. Oh, 2025. You're right. That is a typo on my end. Garrett, of course, so excited that I went and told him to go play the Sega CD version of Lunar, only for them to release an actual collection coming out next year. And the collection includes Lunar 1 and 2. And they did some clarifications saying that they are going to be remastered from the PS1 releases of these games. And they're going to be redoing all of the voice acting and the localization for these games. The main reason why weren't getting these games before is because we've talked about this in the past on the Working Designs episode, and of course the Lunar episode that we did, where the main reason why these games hadn't gotten re-releases in a very long time is because of the whole kerfluffle with the Working Designs president, who still had some of the rights to the old localizations, not wanting to basically give them up and have them appear on newer platforms or just be re-released, really. And anyway, it's the main reason why we got the Sega Genesis Mini, but it didn't have any of the Working Designs game modes on it, but they appeared on the Japanese version of the Sega Genesis Mini. So, yeah, like, I'm so happy that whatever they needed to work out, they worked out. Where I guess Gung Ho Games, since they have the Lunar IP now because they own Game Arts, maybe they found a way where they were able to finagle enough legality to basically just do a complete new localization and then allow them to re-release the games. So I'm actually really excited about that. Not only that, too, the Working Designs localization, as people know, is not amazing. So I actually think these games will actually benefit from a brand new localization. And yeah, I can't wait for this collection. In fact, I was watching this while I was at work because I was at work at the time, and I literally jumped out of my chair when I saw this come on and yelled, and everyone in the office just looked at me like, "What is going on over there?" So, yeah, I had a freak out. That's one of those moments where I almost wish we were able to do a reactions to it, but we just couldn't really line up the timing for it. But yeah, I freaked out when that Lunar announcement came because it was so cool.
When I saw this announcement, I'm like, oh, Ryan's going to have a field day with this. Finally happening. Of course, you predicted it for a different showcase, but you still predicted it.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would ever happen. But
well, yeah, if you remember back, Garrett, I was like kind of like Charlie Day from that GIF from Always Sunny, where I had the whiteboard with the pins across it because I had all the evidence to point to the fact that something big like this was happening. But yeah, it just came out of nowhere. Even though I knew that something with Lunar was happening, I couldn't believe it, especially when they announced that it had Lunar 2. I was thinking maybe it would only have the first one, kind of remastered or whatever, or re-released. But the fact that it has Lunar 2 in it, which hasn't been re-released since the PlayStation 1, like, I think that is even a bigger deal than the first one coming back.
Yeah, pretty cool to see it as a collection. I'm curious to see more of the art style of it. It doesn't look 2D HD typical.
No, it looks like this looks exactly like the PS1 versions, but upscaled.
Yeah, upscaled. It looks like there's some depth, like there's some shadows added onto it. So, but yeah, I'm curious about the localization as well. I hope they keep the ads in there. That was amazing. The Haagen-Dazs at the end of Lunar 1, but still just kind of, it's kind of crazy. But anyways, yeah, cool. I won't get it day one. But I'm sure you'll get it and go through it.
I'm going to be that crazy person, Garrett, where I think this is going to be the first time I do this in a very long time, but I think I'm actually going to double dip on this, where I'm going to buy it digitally when it comes out, but then we've already got confirmation that they're working with Limited Run to get a physical version out there. And whatever stupid edition they release at the Limited Run, because they always do that for these games, I'm buying that too. So, like, I will just get it for 2 different consoles because I am that person. But it's just I know that the physical version won't come until much later, so that's why I can justify getting the digital version and playing it right away. And then
the physical version will come in 2 years later.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like that's why it's just like I don't have any I don't have any problem just kind of double dipping, getting the digital and then buying the physical whenever it comes out later.
Question for you, Ryan. So let's say this comes out, it was a moderate success or whatever. Do you see a future in the Lunar series going forward? Like, will they make another game? Will just Gung Ho go back and remake other Lunar games? What's your take?
So, first of all, as far as remaking other Lunar games, there really aren't any other ones to choose from. There's 2. Okay. There's like the Game Gear spin-off that they did, which is not really a traditional Lunar game, which they could do that in theory. Or there's the extremely terrible Lunar Dragon Sword on the DS. And that's one of the worst Nintendo DS games. That's the game I told you about, Garrett, where it hurts your character to run.
Oh, yeah. No, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think they go back, and they know that people hate that game too. So I don't think they ever go back and bring that game back either. So I think the path forward for them, if they want to do something, is to just do a new game in the series with either whether it's Game Arts developing it directly, which are they're of course the original developers of Lunar, or having a different company handle it. Because likewise, I'm going to point out there, the Grandia collection actually did pretty well when it came out on Switch, and then even with the re-release that happened earlier this year on PlayStation and Xbox, we've heard that the numbers for that are actually pretty good, but they haven't done anything with Grandia since then. So
yeah,
it's always a possibility that we get these collections, and that might just be it. But they own both those IPs, so like, I don't see a reason why they couldn't do another one at this point. Like Gung Ho Games mostly focuses on mobile gacha games, and this is them kind of branching out of that a little bit. So like, I'm curious. There's like no historical precedent that would indicate to me that they would do something new, but I would love to see them do something new.
That would be cool. But yeah, no, you're right with the Grandia collection being out, and that's kind of stop there. With that, it's hard to see a new Lunar game coming out, but who knows? Gung Ho may surprise us with a new game, which would be cool.
That would be cool. But anyways, Garrett, that was the State of Play. There were a lot of other announcements at State of Play, but they weren't role-playing games. And we'll talk about those on the PlayStation Drive tomorrow evening, if people are interested in our thoughts on the rest of those. But next up, Garrett, during the Xbox showcase, in fact, almost all of these we're about to talk about now were at the Xbox Tokyo Game Show showcase, because many people forgot or didn't know that Xbox even had a showcase at Tokyo Game Show. But it was like an hour long, and I actually thought it was pretty good, by the way.
It wasn't bad at all. You know what? Shout out to Xbox. They do this every year at Tokyo TGS for the past some odd years now, and they do an okay job of going through some games dedicated to the Japanese audience. And if you look at the whole Xbox Microsoft approach and portfolio, you know, one would argue you don't really need to do this. You don't really need to serve this Japanese audience or the Japanese type of or Eastern culture. I think they do this out of passion. They do this out of they just want to make sure they're covering their bases. They want to make sure they're serving their communities over there, even though they're very, very small. They're very insignificant compared to, let's say, the Western audience and the the people who do not play Xbox in Japan and stuff like that. So shout out to Xbox.
Not only that,
for doing that.
I also think the other reason they do that as well is to show like Japanese publishers, hey, if you bring your game to Xbox, we will show it off. We will talk about it. We will get the word out there about that people should be playing your games on Xbox. And I think that strategy's clearly been working for them, because we've been seeing more and more developers work with Xbox for the first time, like some of the stuff we're going to talk about here. And I think that's mostly because of them doing stuff like this.
Yeah, definitely. So cool.
Yeah. So first off, Garrett, this kind of leaked out ahead of time, but was announced at the Xbox showcase. Metaphor's ReFantasio's demo is out right meow. So we're going to do a quick segue, because Garrett, you played this, right?
I did play it. I didn't finish all the way through.
Apparently it's like 4 hours long or something.
I'm at the 4 hour mark, so I'm very close to the end. But yeah, I've played most of it, like 95% of it.
Okay. What do you think about this?
It's good. Let me think. There's a lot of similar elements that we know about from the Atlas and the Persona team specifically into this game. Lots of great writing and characters. I like the premise of it and the elements around it. It's a little bit refreshing to see it very different than a Persona style story or whatever. So yeah, I think that the story and the main character and the premise around it pretty cool. Turn-based combat, it's basically Persona, more or less, which is good. Maybe a little bit different, in terms of how you turn orders and stuff like that and weaknesses, but pretty much the same thing. But going through the dungeons is pretty nice, and the action-based stuff is pretty cool to see. Where, you know, in Persona 5, you kind of just go into like a monster, and then, all right, you're in turn-based battle. Whereas this one, you can weaken them a little bit, or even just, if you're strong enough, you can just destroy them during just action combat. You don't even need to go into turn-based combat. So I think that's refreshing as well. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. And I'm interested more about the story than anything else. So I've been rambling on a little bit. Ryan, how about you? What are you thinking about this demo?
I mean, it sounds cool. I have not had a chance to check it out yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely interested. That's why I wanted to know what I was curious to know what you thought about it.
Got it.
Yeah, haven't had a chance to play it. This week has been pretty busy for me. But it looks really, really cool. And I'm really interested to find out more. Like, that's a game that's right around that corner. I know Kevin Ainsworth on his podcast this week, he was like overflowing with joy after playing with the demo, where he's like, he would be very surprised if it's not his game of the year this year. So.
I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think I'm there yet. I'm not convinced. This is a personal gripe, so this is just for me. The archetypes remind me so much of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Common Blades. It is annoying. When I see these archetypes, I'm like, why did you design it like this? I don't like it like this. Just
they're basically armors instead of you having like waifus in your swords instead.
Exactly. But you know what I mean though, right? The common blades into, they're just so generic, and you know, they look cool. Like they do. It's just like, but man, there should be more style to this. Right. Like I don't know. There's something off about it for me. At least.
I can see that being a little bit off-putting versus like the demons from Persona that you use, where they look like really unique. Although obviously the difference this time around is all your characters can change archetypes instead of in Persona, where only the main character kind of can.
Yeah, I like the flexibility with the archetypes, especially with the different characters. It looks like if you invest in a certain archetype, you rank them up, which is pretty cool as well. And also, I did play it on Steam, so I did play it on my PC and my Steam Deck. I don't think it's optimized the best it can be, at least not yet. I'm sure they'll do some updates and everything, but it was performing fine. But when you do longer draw distances, it really chugs, and I think I think it's an optimization issue than anything else. On Steam Deck, it's fine. I play on the 40 frames mark and lower the graphics. It still plays pretty well. But once it goes to these larger open zone areas, it really does chug. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I should play it on Xbox or PlayStation instead of Steam. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed the demo so far.
But also, I think that's a good thing about why a demo like this should exist, though, Garret, is to point you in the right direction where, you know, this might have been a game you might have purchased on PC, but then saw like 3 or 4 hours in, it really, really chug. And then maybe you might have regretted that purchase. Whereas the demo points you to be like, all right, I'm still interested in buying this game, but now I should do it on a console instead of your PC kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder if I'll check GMG's return policy, see if I can refund that key.
Yeah,
maybe
on
on
you got
PC.
That for cheap, right? On GMG, I think that's why you bought it there.
Yeah, that's specifically why. And also, I just want to see on Steam Deck. But yeah, other than that, I really enjoy. I love the style of this game a lot. The art style is very unique, different, and compared to the Persona games. Has those jagged lines all around. Really cool art style. I like going through the dungeons a little bit more than the Persona games. Yeah, everything else is pretty solid other than those freaking archetype designs. It really gets me. I don't know.
yeah, I get
but
it.
cool. But that's pretty much it.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about this game in like the next couple weeks after it comes out. 'Cause I think it's out on the 11th of October, so in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
So, yeah, we'll definitely be talking about it then. Well, next up, Garrett, Threads of Time was announced. This was a game that got everyone talking the second we saw this game. It's a 2D HD style game that's just interwoven with just so much anime from a Toronto-based studio, which is interesting that it's at Tokyo Game Show at all, being in a Tokyo Game Show Xbox showcase. But this is from a Toronto studio, Rio Games, and it's coming out sometime soon? Question mark.
Cool.
We don't really have a release window, release date, or anything like that. But Garrett, this game, it looks awesome. Like it's a turn-based, very, very like traditional style, 2D HD style role-playing game with like just absolutely gorgeous visuals. Both the anime cutscenes that they showed in the trailer and the actual gameplay itself, like both looked just as pretty. And I loved the way they kind of seamlessly blended in the anime cutscenes into the 2D HD stuff. So I'm curious to know like how this game's actually going to play. But I think this looked very impressive.
It looks really cool. It was probably the shining number one game out of the showcase in terms of just new game releases and everything. It's cool to see it in the Xbox showcase. As you said, it looks really good. The 2D HD looks very solid. Typical turn-based role-playing game, which we all know and love. It reminds me a lot of Chrono Trigger, and just in terms of there's a lot of time travel involved in this
And they
game.
talked about that too, because they did like I know I got a press release about it afterwards with some quips from the developer where they talked about that just being an open inspiration for them was Chrono Trigger.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm curious how the reception will go and when will this get released? I imagine maybe not even next year, just thinking about development cycles and everything, but it's cool to see it showcased on the Xbox Tokyo showcase there. Yeah, and you're right. It's I guess a Canadian-based studio, so it's surprising to see it
right in my backyard. I could probably call them up and see if I can come hang out.
Yeah, just have a barbecue with them.
Exactly. I also was looking up their website to see what other games they've made, and it turns out this is their first game as far as
there's their first game. Cool.
Yeah,
that's a strong showing for their first game. So good get for them, man.
Absolutely.
I'm curious if it'll be on Game Pass. They'll announce it on Game Pass later or something like that. But for now, not so much.
Yeah, for now, it exists. It's out there, and we're gonna play it. So, and yeah, just looking at their website as well, they got a fairly small team. There's only like 20 or 30 people that work there. So this one, like you mentioned, Garrett, is probably gonna take some time in the oven to cook a little bit.
For sure.
Next up, Atelier Yumiya. Once again, we talked about it on last week's show. But once again, it makes an appearance at the Xbox showcase this time around with even more overview of what the game's actually going to play like. Because this was like a 5 or 6 minute segment with one of the creators of the game just sitting down talking about the different elements of Yumiya. Also, they had to, of course, say multiple times this is the first time Atelier has been on Xbox. So it's interesting, first of all, to see an Atelier game on an Xbox presentation.
It's crazy.
Then also, again, to have them do like even more of a deep dive, even though we just got the deep dive video for this game, was interesting. But it really, I didn't really see too much more here that we didn't see at that last presentation. But it's cool to see it here.
No. I totally agree. Cool to see here. I'm curious if I'm going to play it on Xbox. Is likely going to be my platform of choice, because I do want to support Japanese games going to Xbox, and I mainly play it here on my computer desk. You can see my PS5 right there. I feel bad for my PS5 because I don't play it as much as I should have, but it's over there on the TV, but I like playing mainly on my desk over here. So, but yeah, Atelier Yumiya, I'm looking forward to it. This looks like it's going to be great for newcomers too. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's why we talked about this last week. I mentioned I hope this is the type of game that they do a demo for, because someone like me who's been on the fence about trying to throw myself at an Atelier game, because I've picked up multiple Atelier games that I just haven't really been into it. But you're right, Garrett, about this looking like it's a perfect game for newcomers. Like if there's a demo out there for this and it plays really well and I get into it, like that will sell me on buying the game day one in a way that I wouldn't have been that person before. Because I hope that this is the one that gets me into Atelier finally, Garrett. Hopefully.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think it would be hard to get to the previous games just because they're pretty niche. But
of course,
this one looks very inviting to, especially the people who like open world games in general. And also, I think it really does have that Zelda. I wouldn't say mechanics or anything, but the Zelda vibe, the Breath of the Wild vibe, going into it. If you can get past all the character design related things, I think it'll be a very enjoyable game for everyone.
Okay. Nice. Well, then next up, Garrett, this is something I've been calling for forever, going all the way back to my days of being on the Xbox Drive. But Trials of Mana and Legend of Mana are now actually out on Game Pass and Xbox for the first time. Because we had Visions of Mana be the very first Mana game to appear on Xbox ever. And then literally a month later, we got two of the other ones now. So they're popping up everywhere. The Mana games are popping up all over Xbox at this point. I am not going back to play these games again on Xbox because I've already played them both already. But I'm glad to know that they're here and that people can go get them.
Yeah. I'm not going to go back to Trials of Mana anytime soon. It looks much... I should have played this on PlayStation or Xbox.
You really should have.
Because it looks so much better compared to Switch. Oh my gosh. But other than that, Legend of Mana, it looks a little too older to my taste, but...
Well, that's just a re-release of a PS1 game.
I know.
And again, that game was like kind of in the same style as like the Super Nintendo Mana games.
But I'm glad they brought... I mean, Square Enix is now full-on collaborating with Xbox. I'm loving it and enjoying every bit of it. All that good Square Enix Japanese content coming over. Cool.
Well, speaking of that, Garrett, Square Enix had also announced that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters are also out right now on Xbox. They're not on Game Pass, but like you can buy them on discount right now. I think it's 79 Canadian dollars. So I think that's like $59.99 US, which is actually the cheapest price for this collection at the moment on any store.
Okay. Wow.
But that's like a launch price. It's going to go away, I think, in a week or two.
I see.
But Garrett, this is a historical moment, and you want to know why?
Because all the Final Fantasy games, except for 7 Rebirth, and 16, are on Xbox, right?
Well, all of the numerical Final Fantasy games, except for 16, are on Xbox. In fact, it is the most comprehensive Final Fantasy library on any console other than PC at this point. Because
of 11?
Because of 13 and
13.
It's like section of games that were on 360 that are all backwards compatible.
I see. Yes, you can. So you can't play 13 on PlayStation 5? Nope. Oh, nope. Wow.
No, well, 13, 2, or Lightning Returns. They're only on Xbox. And same with Switch. Switch is in the same boat.
Well, okay. Interesting. It's all on Steam and Xbox, and that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is weird to think about. Like,
it's pretty weird.
Xbox is the console with the most Final Fantasy on it now.
Yes. Or numerical Final Fantasy games, I guess.
Yeah, even when you count spin-offs, though. Because
really?
World of Final Fantasy is also on Xbox. Like a lot of the I guess Theatrhythm's the only Final Fantasy spin-off that isn't on Xbox.
Well, it was a Dissidia. That's another one.
Oh, that's true. Dissidia is not on Xbox either. But you're right. At least with the mainline ones, other than 16, it's the only one it's missing at this point. So,
interesting.
Yeah, that I think that'll come at some point. Even though you have your doubts about 7 remake, I think 16 is going to come.
16, yeah, 16 will come. It's inevitable, especially on the comments. Man, every time I hear Square Enix saying, "Oh yeah, we released it, but we're disappointed with the expectations of the sales," I'm just like, dude, we keep hearing that over and over and over again. When is it? I don't know. Like, are they keep failing at their sales projections? Like,
no, they just keep making them like wild and like too out there as far as
I
their
guess so.
sales projections.
Yeah.
Because I think like they talked about, because I remember the famous quote from when the Tomb Raider reboot came out, Garrett, and they talked about the Tomb Raider reboot did not meet their sales expectations at the same time that they announced that it hit 6 million in sales.
Yeah.
So what did they expect for it? If 6 million was not good enough, what did they expect it to be? Is like crazy.
Yeah, 6 million's pretty good, I would say, especially for Tomb Raider, a reboot of it. I don't know what their expectations are. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they go outlandish with that, but hopefully bring it over. Well, they're bringing it to PC, and they'll bring it to Xbox later. So hopefully they'll help out a little bit.
Because then it'll be official. Like, then Xbox will have every mainline Final Fantasy game.
Yes.
Which will be weird to think about, like when you look back on the history of the series. But it's also more of the me just trying to get on my soapbox, Garrett, and be like, Square, anytime you want to put a 13 remastered collection out there, I would go buy it. I would play those games again.
Apparently it looks pretty good on Xbox itself because of the improvements there. So
yeah. I mean, that's a game that I think has actually aged a lot better than people think it has, or people remember.
I heard 13.2 in Lightning Returns is pretty good.
Yeah, especially 13.2. 13.2 is the best of those 3 games. But Lightning Returns I really like too, even though the story is just crazy and weird. The gameplay I thought was really fun for that game. But next up, Garrett, new footage of the sci-fi turn-based RPG, The Starbites Taste of Desert, emerged from Microsoft Tony Hawk Game Show. It was announced in 2023, and it's now set to launch sometime this year on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles. This has got like mechs in it, Garrett. It's like a turn-based mech game. It looks interesting. It looks interesting. I'm not a big fan of the art style. It reminds me of Power World a little bit. It's kind of like a claymation Play-Doh 3D type of art going on, but I'm curious how the gameplay will go and the reception of it. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for this. Yeah, this is one where like when I watched the showcase, Garrett, because I didn't know that this game had been announced before this. I didn't even think of it as a turn-based game. But then when I went back and looked into information after the show, I'm like, wait a second, this is a turn-based role-playing game. It doesn't look like that at all. It looked like some like almost like I don't know, like a battle royale kind of shooting game. Like it didn't really look like a turn-based role-playing game. So
yeah,
it's interesting. But yeah, same with me. Like I'm not really in love with the art style either. But I'm interested to find out more.
Yeah, and this is from a studio we haven't heard before either. Let's see here. Yeah, developed by Kina Games. I've never heard of them before.
Same.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll find out. And then that was all from the Xbox Showcase, Garrett. Pretty big list of Xbox Showcase games that were all role-playing games. They had some other stuff too, like Metal Gear Solid 5 or Metal Gear Solid 3 and some other stuff. But Slitherhead. But it was a cool showcase. I think they had some cool stuff there. But then the final announcement, Garrett, that happened just on a random tweet, but then also just randomly on the show floor because it was just there, was another Atelier game. Atelier Rezelleria, Red Alchemist, and The White Guardian. It was announced for PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. No Xbox for this one, Garrett.
No
Coming
Xbox.
out sometime next year. So in the year of our Lord 2025, Garrett, there will be not one but 2 Atelier games in the same year.
They did this, I think, last year too.
Yeah.
They have Maria Remake and Atelier Ryza 3.
Yeah.
This is interesting to see. I think they just have 2 kind of studios going parallel. The main one doing Yumiya, and then this kind of side one doing the remakes and doing other things. So this specific one is related to the mobile Atelier game that came out. But this one's going to be an offline standalone game. I think it's a sequel or prequel or whatever.
I was going to say, so I did some digging about this because I wasn't sure what the heck this even was. Because you're right. This is based off the mobile franchise, which is like a gacha style game, similar to something like Genshin Impact or something like that. But the difference this time around is this, as you mentioned, it's going to be a single player game. I believe it's a prequel from what I read. And it's not going to have any gotcha moments at all. It's actually going to just be like a turn-based Atelier game, just like the other Atelier games. Like it's going to be like more in line with something like Atelier Yumiya or even something like Ryza than it is going to be like the mobile games. It just takes place in that same kind of, world and storyline as the mobile games, but it's not really meant to be like that type of experience.
Yeah, I think this one is like one of the safer games. I'm sure there's like, okay, we're comfortable with this type of style. So yeah, as you said, it'd probably be closer to Ryzen, maybe even closer to Sophie type of game style compared to Yumiya, which is trying out different things. So I think it's just more of like, here's another one that we're making. Let's see how this goes. It's just a lot, man. There's too many. It's more than Yakuza, which and it's getting the Trails, kind of territory.
It's getting there, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm interested in this one so much.
It's also funny to think about because Garrett, there's also the secret third Atelier game made by the Gus Studio, Fairy Tale 2, which is also coming out in December.
Isn't that crazy?
So it's just like they're just pumping out games like it's no tomorrow. But,
yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it with that.
That's pretty much it with that, and that's pretty much it with Tokyo Game Show, Garrett. Because overall, Tokyo Game Show a lot of times is just like showing us a lot of games that we already know about because it's kind of the last showcase of the year for people to go show off their games before the kind of the fall season kind of happens. So there's a lot of games on the show floor itself that they were showing off, but a lot of the big ones were the ones we talked about today. The only one we didn't mention was Dragon Age, which kind of had a big showing there too as well, like both at the State of Play and also on the show floor. Like that demo of that boss that they fought in the State of Play that was playable on the show floor at Tokyo Game Show. So besides that, I think those are all the games, all the big RPGs at Tokyo Game Show, Garrett.
Cool.
Overall, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm keenly I'm looking out for Nintendo. Where are you? You're gonna come up here pretty soon. It's inevitable. You have to announce it. You have to announce Switch 2. You can't run away anymore. Nintendo.
The hilarious thing, Garrett, is that unless somehow this just gets announced tomorrow and it happens on Monday, this year will be the very first time since the Switch came out where there was no September Direct.
Yeah.
First time.
That's kind of crazy to hear. They're just holding on to their cards as closely as possible. I think it has to be October. It has to be early October, I think, to announce something about this console. But
you never know, though. They might wait until like February of next year to announce it, though.
That's true. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo, so. But I'm trying to see what I'm looking forward to from just an RPG first party perspective. I know there's not much in the Nintendo world, but there's just nothing on the horizon. At least from my perspective. So.
I mean, we're still waiting for them to announce that Fire Emblem game that we know that they're making.
Yeah, and they still are keeping that close. It's been developed for the longest time. We've known that for over, I would say, year and a half or something like that. So, anyways.
Who knows?
We'll
find out. But anyways, Garrett, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the RPG Cave. But before we go, we got to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the PlayStation Drive. You can find all of his music over at Purple Bulky Entertainment at the link tree, linktr.ee/pme.jib. And Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you that the best babes are Xenobabes, and TechMike, who says, whether you're a Kevesi or an Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast. Please make sure, of course, to support them as they support us, and they're really awesome. Our platinum producers, Smokin Joe, Solo, The Captain, and Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, BobLoblaw, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Drellesh, Emily O'Capley, Hoppel, Jan32, Kia Savoy, Liger Woods 330, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Peje EP, Shane Erickson, the Jiggy Collector, and Toxic. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. And if you want to hop in the car with us, head on over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And Garrett, you almost got me just falling over laughing while you were doing stuff. You heard me kind of like stopping a couple times. For audio listeners, Garrett was doing things with his hands, and I almost just stopped. So,
that was a workout.
Garrett, plugs go.
You can follow me on Twitter at Bland Explosion. You can find me on the Discord. I'm reading every single message on the RPG Cave and nowhere else. I'm not reading any messages from the PlayStation Drive, the Xbox Drive. They're just, doing their thing. They're obsessing over PS5 Pro, whatever that is.
Oh, speaking of PS5 Pro, Garrett, I'm obsessed with the PS5 Pro. I got mine pre-ordered.
Good.
It's coming. It's on its way. I can't wait to get it and play a bunch of PS5 Pro games. Awesome.
Wait, is it gonna be released soon?
November 7th.
Okay, cool. November 7th. Yeah. Okay, and then you'll play Dragon Quest III HD 2D on the PlayStation 5 Pro, the pinnacle game.
I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered day one on it, okay? That's what's happening.
And you're going to pay $50 for it.
I don't have to pay $50 for it. I own the game already. I pay $10.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I'm wondering if I should do the $10 upgrade too, but then again, I've played through Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't think I'll play it again.
No, you know what you do? The strategy is if you have ever feel the inclination to go play it, then you just pay the $10. Then.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the $10 upgrade will always be there.
It's nice to have that $10 upgrade. It's actually not a bad deal at all. Yeah. I think that's a sensible, price.
And if you got the game for free during COVID, when they gave away the game as part of like the COVID stay at home thing, then they're allowing you up to upgrade too. So
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Other than that, that's it for me.
Excellent.
Go, Ryan.
I'm glad I derailed us with the PlayStation 5 Pro talk. I'll talk about that more on PlayStation Drive tomorrow.
For sure.
As for me, you can always find me on Twitter, aka X, at Ryan Turver. You can also find us on X at Carpool Gaming right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. Of course, twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live. And of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Garrett Bland, I'm Ryan Turver. This has been the RPG Cave level 156, and we're out. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.